everybody thinks that they're all right. You know, floods come, GFC comes, storms, drought, you know, the whole lot. But when a fire comes, it's hard to prepare for it. And from a business perspective, you think you got all your bases covered, but the hard thing for a fire is it can drastically affect your business and just grind it to a halt overnight, and it's all due to circumstances totally out of your control.
We're actually on the property that we were living on when we came in to live in Harrietville in 2006, and this here is the B&B that we were operating, and the house property was up the back. In 2006, the fires went all along this ridge here, and eventually chimneyed all the way up that valley there, which was a really unpleasant experience. So it was a pretty full-on position to be in that the 2006 fires.
Well, as you can see, there's quite a bit of devastation from the fires. I suppose the main thing here is all this was actually moonscape, completely black, and there wasn't a straw of grass, there's no leaves, all the trees sort of died right back. But typically of the Australian landscape, you know, the regeneration here is just awesome, it's just fantastic. But it's hard to believe, but all this was just charred black. We showcase the Victorian Alps with bushwalking. We do four-wheel drive trips up into the Great Divide, up into the Alpine Wilderness Country, bird watching tours, wildflower, a lot of photography. We showcase the Alpine river systems with our kayaking. There's a varied array of product up here, and of course taking people out into the wilderness is, you know, one of my key things. I love it, just can't get enough.
We started Five Star Adventure Tours 6 months after the 2003 fires. So we started working into the Alpine National Park that had been quite severely hit by the fires, and we saw that gorgeous regeneration. So by the time we then hit 2006, that was where areas of the Alpine National Park and around Bright had already been burnt in 2003, so everyone was surprised that it came through again and hit us in 2006. 2006 really severely hurt the visitation numbers, and it took us a couple of months to really get back on our feet in terms of visitors coming back to the area. And then of course we had the regional fires of 2009, and that again caused a halt in the visitation and the fear of city people looking at our region as saying it's a very fire-prone area.
The first contact with the fires, that was a big shock. 3 weeks, the thing just ran rampant through the Alpine region, and our business ground to a halt. All the valleys filled with smoke, and there was warnings, media, everything, you know, don't go here, don't go that. Even the politicians were getting in on the act saying, you know, don't go anywhere near the Alpine National Park. And the sad thing was that we're all over that side of the ranges, and the fire was over this side of the ranges. Our business stopped completely.
To have no visitors at any time, especially when it's a busy time, it's devastating.
Cash flow implications was huge. First week was panic. The second week was like, how do we engage in rectifying this situation quick because of the unknown factors? This is one of our little picnic areas that we used to use for morning teas. Here was all green and lush and everything. There's a creek running right around it. The devastation of that makes people feel just too sad to go there. So it took us a long time before we could go back to it. And that's one of those things that affects an operator in the wildfire conditions post-fires.
Unfortunately, for a small company like ourselves, the staff get put off. We try and get them back as soon as possible, but it's happened twice now, and especially in the 2009 fires, even though we weren't affected by the fires, but lack of visitation, we actually didn't put staff back on until after February, so that was almost a month gap.
We had to basically stop and reinvent ourselves and get to the point where we thought this is going to change our whole life. So it's back to the office, back to the drawing board, have a look at all our products, see how we can adapt and reinvent ourselves and come up with new innovative thinking.
We then wrote to our database, which was a very loyal database, and said if we ask you to package a couple of nights accommodation and a tour, and the value is say $300. Would you mind paying us 50% of that now? And you've got an 18-month span of when you can take up that package.
People, they more than rose to the occasion. It was a fantastic response.
So it really got us through, and that income came across when we were trying to catch up over that period. So it was really helpful.
Just because it's hard and it's an unknown quantity, don't leave it to the last minute. Go to the banks, ask them for some reprieve. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's available to you, and we were lucky we got onto it straight away.
After the fires, it made us address the fact that never just sit back and say, this is my product, this is what we've got. You have to keep looking for new things, and we've found that there is so many wide facets to the Alpine National Park, to the Mount Bogong, to the kayaking on the different rivers, to the camping aspects. There's just so much product here that it jolted us into never just sitting back and accepting that this is all we're going to do. We didn't fall into a rut. The next idea that we had was, because I had a strong food and beverage background, that we would then do what we called sunset dinner tours, and we'd go up to a mountain that hadn't been burnt. It's only 35 minutes out of town, and we'd set out like a big buffet, and the sunset would drop behind Mount Buffalo, beautiful colours, and we had like the buffet, and then I'd do a really special dessert, and then once the sun set, then everyone gets back into our vehicles and we drive them back down the mountain. We've found that add-ons, value adding, and adding different dimensions, whether it might be we'll go on a tour and Daniel will also give people assistance on their photography to do better photography. In order to restore or renew your products, value adding and coming up with new and good ideas really helps to re-incentivise your products and your tours.
Biggest dividend, the biggest shift working our way out of a crisis would no doubt be innovation. I love the industry, I love the people. We've got our business set up in such a way where we're really strong and we're very proud of our product, and a lot of people support us. So to give up would be, no, it's not an option for us.
After a fire, or having been affected by fires, I can't tell you, it's the worst feeling that you can ever go through. And people will say, oh, we know what you must be going through, but they don't.
Everyone relies very heavily on each other in the tourism sector, because we account for in the high 60s, low 70% bracket of tourism in our industry. It has a broad effect. Not a lot of people talk about it because, obviously it's related to privacy, and and they don't want to seem like they're doing it tough because of pride and this and that. But I think the important message, if we were to have one, is networking. Just, don't be shy, get out there and really barrel it, network with people, call them in, say, okay, how can we work together and get over this and get moving forward.